Thanks for checking out Conveyor. I'm trying to build the easiest experience for developers to deploy their Python applications. So Conveyor is just a platform to allow developers to deploy their Python applications to cloud servers. And I think what I'd like to do is just give a quick overview of how the whole process works, and I think that'll give you a pretty good understanding. So the first thing we'll do is we'll log in with GitHub. This will give us access to the code repository that we're going to need to deploy. So on the first screen here, we can just create a site, and then we'll need some additional details. So we'll get a site name, the site type. This one's a Django site. It could be a Flask site, could be like a Pelican static site or a Flask meld site. And then we'll choose the code repository that we're going to use to deploy. This is going to be the 4C Sports website. And then the next page you'll get to is choosing the server. I've created one now to save a little bit of time, but I'll just show you what it would look like to create a server. So you just choose a name, a region, the size of the server, and then if you want a database, and then you click create server. And this will go through and provision the server for you. So it sets up all the web services that you'll need, Nginx, WSGI server, and um, also, secures it, gets it all up to date and everything, handles all that for you. And then it'll give you your password and your database password as well. So we'll want to hold on to these typically, but since I'm not going to use a server, I'm just going to continue here. And then it just goes through and provisions the server. So let's take one step back now to where we were, and we're going to choose the server that we're going to deploy a site on. So our new one is in here, but we're going to use this other one that I just created since it's all done provisioning already. The next step will just be to get some additional details. So we're going to get the branch, we're going to get our app entry file on Django. This is the WSGI file, and select our requirements that are going to be used, and then also select a settings file. And once we do that, the next step we'll probably want to look at is the deployment script. So in this case, Conveyor will give you your migrate and collect static commands that are used on most Django apps. You can remove them if you don't need them, of course. And then we're going to add in a couple more steps here that are going to be used for this app. So we have an npm install and then an npm build CSS command. So we'll save that. And the next step, environment variables. So our environment variables for this application are just going to be a secret key and the password for the database. And once we do that, we need one more thing. So some applications, of course, need a database. So we have an easy way to install a database or create a database on a Conveyor server. So we'll just go in here and create a database on the server, and then we'll go back to our site and we'll just deploy now. And then we can even check on the logs. This will give us a little bit of a status update of what's going on while the site is deploying. So the first time you deploy, it'll take a little bit longer because it has to actually clone the repo, pulls all the code down to the server, it'll install all the requirements and does all the initial app setup. So the first time you do this, it'll take a little bit of extra time, but then in future deployments, it'll be quite a bit faster. So we have some other options in the site while we wait for this to deploy. We have push to deploy, so you can set this up to allow you to just anytime you push your code to GitHub, it'll automatically do a deployment for you. We also have SSL certificates, which we're not going to use right now in this demo, but that's as easy as clicking this button, enable SSL, and it will generate an SSL cert for you. And let's see where we're at. So we're running the deployment script now. So this will just take a couple more seconds here. And once this is done, all we're going to do is go to this URL. I would say we should definitely have a link for this IP address. That seems pretty easy. And we'll visit this site. So, I mean, right away, actually, oh, it just finished. The deployment finished. And it kind of shows you, what went on during the deployment process. And here's our site. So it was that easy to deploy this application using Conveyor. So I've got a few people in here using it, but I'm really looking to get some more people to use this. So I'm going to have an email sign up on the website, and I'm just going to do invitations from there. So if you're interested, just go to Conveyor.dev and enter in your email address, and I will get you an invitation as soon as possible.